Up next, we have Lyllah, a compassionate member of the Encounters TEDx Club in Vancouver. As a competitive boxer, she dedicates herself wholeheartedly to her commitments. As a competitive boxer, she's also deeply passionate about supporting her community and finds inspiration in working with youth. Today, she takes us on an inner journey, asking us why we hold back on our inner kindergartner. Let's give it up for Lyllah.
Have you ever started a sentence with, "I'm sorry, this is a stupid question, but..." Now, have you ever heard a 5-year-old say this? When I worked with youth at a summer camp, the kids would ask me questions like, "Does chocolate milk come from brown cows? Are showers just human-sized sinks?" One young girl even asked me, "How do we know we aren't just characters in a book someone else is reading?" My first thought, how do I even answer that? My second, no really, what am I supposed to say? I thought nothing of these questions. They're just kids being kids. But after the endless amounts, what felt like a million a day, I asked myself, why do kids ask so many questions? But then again, why do kids ask so many questions out loud while we often hesitate? I started to investigate why we hesitate to ask things. My first theory, our curiosity must die as we grow older. Research shows that although cognitive decline begins at 24, there is no decline in curiosity. So my initial theory was not correct. Curiosity doesn't just disappear as we get older. So then why are there so many people who simply don't ask questions out loud? I realized that kids ask questions to challenge their world. If we've decided that white milk comes from white cows, the very existence of chocolate milk challenges our world. Although curiosity does not decrease with age, several studies show that kids have a more exploratory way of thinking. Not only do they have broader attention, but they have a stronger motivation to learn. This is a kindergartner's mindset. Research shows that as we grow up, we begin to accept the world the way it is and lose interest in learning. As 3-year-olds, we ask our parents about 100 questions a day. But by the time we turn 10 or 11, we pretty much stop asking. At the same time, we start to read and write more. It is at this very age that we lose interest in learning. As a high school student, let's just say school isn't my favorite place to be. Going to school usually feels like this. Going to school usually feels like this. In my first semester of grade 12, my whole body was tense in every class. I was so afraid of not getting a good mark, and then not getting into university, and then not getting a good job, and then not living a good life. I realize now that my fear of failing has prevented me from adopting a kindergartner's mindset. But kids aren't entirely fearless. As kids, we were mainly afraid of the dark, loud noises, monsters. And although I might still be a little afraid of the dark, my fears have changed over time. They're now about failing, not living up to expectations, and being ashamed. But kids don't let their fears get in the way of their curiosity. When I worked with youth at a boxing camp, none of them were self-conscious about getting their technique wrong. Yet, even now, with more than 2 years in the sport, I am still afraid of being judged when I walk into the ring. As an athlete, the only way to get better is to put myself in an uncomfortable position. However, the first couple of times you do this, it doesn't look that pretty. Now, we're all self-conscious. Have you ever pretended to be on your phone in an awkward situation, like walking past a group of teenagers, or waiting for an appointment? Because we are so afraid to be judged, we prevented ourselves from living life completely. At the same age we start to ask less questions, we also realize that people can have opinions on us and our curiosity. Now, what if we tried to be kids again and lead our life with curiosity? Studies show that we can have up to 30% higher and longer quality of life with more curiosity. The thing about a kindergartner's mindset is that it's familiar. After all, we've experienced it before. All we have to do is ask a few more questions with a little less fear. I've started to ask more questions in my life to challenge myself. After I applied for university, I put less pressure on myself. I know it sounds crazy, but I've actually started to go to school to learn rather than just obtain high grades. When I really listen in class, ask questions, and enjoy my learning, my experience at school has been so much better. By adopting a kindergartner's mindset and letting curiosity take over my fears, I've become more unapologetically myself. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's easier said than done. Fear is a deeply rooted emotion. It is completely valid to pull out the weather app instead of talking to the person next to you in the waiting room, because sometimes even small things like these can feel so terrifying. But if we try in small and less stressful situations, like asking a question in class, or even complimenting someone on their outfit, we can become a little less fearful and a little more curious. Remember how fun it was to be a kid and not worry? Once we realize that the only opinion that should matter to us is our own, we can lead our lives with the same curiosity we had when we were young. This is the girl I'm trying to bring into school, boxing, and my life. And I believe that each one of us can bring our own inner curiosity into our lives as well. Thank you.